When Dave arrived at the miller's home, he found a problem he had never encountered. Peering up the narrow, dark shaft, he saw it. The animal trapped in the chimney wasn't just any cat. It was a wild bobcat, or rather a tiny bob kitten. Its fur matted with soot, it was trembling with fear but was very much alive. The kitten was wedged deep inside the flue, terrified and completely inaccessible. The team's standard equipment was useless. With the animal in clear distress, they were stumped. Armed with nothing but determination and an unlikely kitchen utensil, Dave was about to attempt one of the most unusual wildlife rescues of his career. Before we start, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. It began as an ordinary Tuesday in Tucson, Arizona, which is to say, it was already promising to be extraordinarily hot. By 7 a.m., the sun was already a belligerent white smear above the Rincon Mountains, bleaching the color from the desert sky. In a quiet, tile-roofed home nestled in the foothills, Frank Miller was engaged in his morning ritual, shuffling to the kitchen, griping about the high schooler who delivered his Arizona Daily Star to the driveway instead of the porch, and pouring a cup of coffee that was, in his estimation, the only civilized thing left in the world. His wife, Brenda, was already on the shaded patio, watering her bougainvillea and listening to the morning coos of the doves. Their golden retriever, Leo, a 90-pound avalanche of enthusiasm and misplaced paws, was doing what he did every morning, sniffing the perimeter of the living room with the intense, furrowed brow focus of a bomb squad technician. "Frank, turn the paper down," Brenda called, sliding the glass door open. The cool, air-conditioned air rushed out to die on the patio. "It's not the paper, it's my knee," Frank grumbled from his armchair, wincing as he bent to retrieve the sports section. "This barometric pressure, it's the monsoon, it's coming." "It's not your knee and it's not the paper," Brenda said, stepping inside. She tilted her head, her silver blonde hair catching the light. "Listen." Frank sighed, the universal sound of a husband being asked to participate in an auditory mystery. He held his breath. The house was quiet, save for the hum of the refrigerator and the tick-tick-tick of the grandfather clock in the hall. "I don't hear anything," he announced, rattling his paper definitively. "Except maybe that kid on his skateboard 2 streets over. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Ought to be illegal before 9 a.m. "No, Frank." "Shh." Brenda walked across the Saltillo tile, her gaze fixed on the great room's fireplace. It was a handsome mission-style adobe hearth, but in their 20 years in this house, they'd never used it. It was a decorative shelf, home to a spray of dried grass and a rather unfortunate ceramic coyote Brenda's sister had made in a pottery class. Leo suddenly whined. He padded over to the fireplace, snuffed at the metal screen, and then whined again, a high-pitched, anxious sound. He backed away, his tail tucked, and looked at Brenda as if to say, "You're going to handle this, right?" "See?" Brenda whispered. "Even Leo hears it." Frank lowered his paper, his annoyance giving way to curiosity. He stood, his joints popping in protest, and joined his wife. He leaned his good ear toward the black square. And then he heard it. It wasn't a thwack, or a bird, or a loose shingle. It was a faint, dry scratching, like a single twig being dragged across cardboard. And beneath it, a sound so small it was almost imaginary. A high, thin mule. "A rat," Frank declared, stepping back with disgust. "Big one, by the sound of it. Probably crawled up from the wash and died in the flue. I'm calling pest control." "It doesn't sound dead, Frank," Brenda said, her hand on her chest. The sound came again, this time more insistent. A scratch, then a tiny, raspy growl. "Rats don't growl, do they?" she whispered. "A raccoon then. Rabid. Even better." Frank was already reaching for the phone book. "Wait." Brenda, ever the braver of the two, knelt and grabbed the small flashlight from the junk drawer. She clicked it on and aimed the beam through the mesh screen into the blackness of the firebox. The scratching stopped. The beam cut through the dark, illuminating soot, a few old leaves, and the iron lever for the damper. "I don't see anything," she said, frustrated. "It's up in the chimney, Bren. Just call the guy." Brenda leaned closer, pressing her face to the cool metal screen. "Hello?" she called softly, feeling ridiculous. From the darkness, 2 pinpricks of light ignited. They weren't red, like a demon, or dull, like an insect. They were a brilliant, burning gold. The glinting eyes flickered, blinked, and then stared right back at her. Brenda gasped and fell backward. "Frank! Frank, there's something in there. It's looking right at me." The tiny, raspy sound came again, louder this time. It wasn't a growl of aggression. It was a sound of pure, abject terror. It was, unmistakably, the sound of a kitten. "Well, I'll be," Frank said, putting the phone down. "Stray cat. Must have fallen from the roof. How the heck are we going to get it out?" "We're not," Brenda said, her voice firm. She knew the limits of their 70-year-old joints. "We're not calling pest control. We're calling wildlife." Halfway across Tucson, Dave Sterling was checking the fluid on the Tucson Wildlife Heroes Unit truck and trying to explain to the new recruit, Chloe, why one should never, ever try to sweet-talk a javelina. "They're not pigs, Chloe. They're peccaries. And they don't have brains. They just have a pointy end-goes-forward instinct. You get between a mom and, well, anything. And you're going to be explaining it to a triage nurse." "I just thought if I was calm, it would be calm," Chloe said, defensively polishing the truck's logo. She was 24, fresh out of U of A's wildlife biology program, and still possessed a dangerous level of optimism about interspecies communication. "It was calm," chimed in Sal, the unit's driver and resident cynic, from the cab. "It was calmly trying to sever your femoral artery. Just be glad Dave, the javelina whisperer Sterling, was there to tackle you into a prickly pear." "I stand by the tackle," Dave said, wiping his hands on a rag. Dave was in his late 50s with sun-bleached hair, a face mapped with laugh lines, and the weary but ready eyes of a man who had seen everything the Sonoran Desert could throw at a homeowner. He'd pulled rattlesnakes from pool skimmers, Gila monsters from car engines, and a very confused great horned owl from a high school gymnasium's rafters. The radio crackled. "Unit 3, got a call. Domestic residents, Tanque Verde foothills. Homeowners report an animal in their fireplace. Possible feline." "Feline?" Chloe brightened. Like a house cat, Chloe," Sal said, starting the engine. "A very, very stupid house cat that got stuck. We're going to drive 40 minutes to do a job a chimney sweep could do. Put your gloves on." When they arrived, Frank and Brenda Miller met them at the door. Leo the retriever was hiding in the kitchen, his courage having evaporated entirely. "It's in there," Brenda said, her voice trembling. "It sounds so scared." "All right, folks, let's take a look," Dave said, all business. He clicked on his Fenix headlamp, the band tight around his forehead. He entered the living room, which was cool and dark after the blinding morning sun. "You say you saw eyes?" Golden eyes, Brenda confirmed, and it hissed at me. Okay. Dave knelt, his knees cracking. He peered into the firebox, the beam of his headlamp cutting a cone of light. "Evening, ma'am," he muttered, as if greeting a neighbor. He assessed the situation. Modern flue, concrete liner, narrow. The sound was coming from above the damper, which was closed. "Well, there's your problem," Dave said, his voice slightly muffled. "It didn't fall all the way down. It's sitting on the damper ledge. Smart, but stuck." "Is it a cat?" Frank asked, hovering uselessly. Dave turned his head, his headlamp beam catching Frank square in the eyes. "Not exactly, Frank." He stood up, brushing soot from his shirt. He looked at the Millers, then at Chloe. "It's a kitten, all right," he said, "but it's not a Felis catus. Folks, you've got a Lynx rufus, a bobcat." Brenda's hands flew to her mouth. "A bobcat? A baby?" Frank's jaw went slack. In my fireplace? Are you sure?" "Positive," Dave said. Spotted, tufted ears, face like a grumpy old man. "That's a bob kitten, and he is not happy." Chloe's eyes went wide. "A bobcat? Wow, is it okay? Can we get it?" Dave's professionalism returned. "That's the new problem. The flue is too narrow for my snare pole, and the grasper is too short. It's about 3, maybe 4 feet above the damper, and the angle is terrible. I can't get my arms up there." He turned to Sal. "Get the extension grasper, and the thick gloves, the really thick ones." Sal returned, and for 10 minutes, Dave and Chloe tried to get a purchase on the animal. They were met with a flurry of terrifying hisses and spits that echoed down the chimney. The sounds were far too ferocious for such a tiny creature. "I can't get a grip," Dave said, pulling the tool back. "The grasper is too wide, it'll hurt it. And I can't get the loop around it. It's wedged itself in the corner." "It sounds like it's in distress," Chloe said, her face creased with worry. "Can we, I don't know, go from the roof? And push it down?" Dave shook his head. "Too dangerous. We'd break its leg. No, we need something. Long and thin, but with a pincer at the end." They all stood there, stumped. Frank, Brenda, Dave, Chloe, and Sal, staring at a fireplace as if it were an undefusable bomb. "A coat hanger?" Frank suggested. "Too sharp, we'll puncture it," Dave said. A pool noodle?" Brenda offered. "To do what, ma'am?" "Annoy it," Sal replied, a little too quickly. Dave shot him a look. The group fell silent again, the only sound the muffled, desperate hissing from the chimney. Sal, who had been scanning the room, suddenly pointed, not at the fireplace, but at the kitchen. Brenda had left a large salad bowl on the counter, and next to it, gleaming in the morning light, was a pair of long stainless steel salad tongs, the kind with scalloped spoon-like ends. "Ma'am," Sal said, a slow grin spreading across his face. "Are you particularly attached to those salad tongs?" Brenda blinked. My tongs?" Dave looked where Sal was pointing. His eyes widened. He looked back at Sal. He looked at the fireplace. He looked back at the tongs. "You're not serious," Chloe said. "It's just stupid enough to work," Dave said, a laugh escaping his lips. "They're long, they're thin, and the ends are rounded." Brenda, may I? I suppose, she said. I just used them for the pasta salad last night. Even better, Sal muttered. It's dinner and a show. Frank let out a bark of disbelieving laughter. You're going to rescue a wild bobcat with my wife's salad tongs? Unless you've got a better idea, Frank, yes I am, Dave said. He took the tongs from Brenda, flexing them. These are good quality. Nice spring. He knelt again, took a deep breath, and plunged his head and shoulders back into the fireplace. This is it, kid, he muttered. No sudden moves. The scene was absurd. A seasoned wildlife expert on his hands and knees, head stuck in a fireplace, armed with a $15 kitchen utensil. Chloe knelt beside the hearth, trying to get a visual from the side. I'm opening the damper just a crack, Dave narrated. Okay, easy, easy, I see it. Oh, you're a tiny little thing, aren't you? A furious spat of hissing. Okay, you've made your point. You're very scary. Dave carefully maneuvered the tongs up into the darkness. The angle is bad. I can't... Wait. Got a leg. Don't grip too hard, Chloe whispered. I'm being gentle. I'm being gentle. I'm just... guiding. It... Come on, buddy. There was a frantic scrabbling sound, a shower of soot, and a yowl that made Brenda jump. I'm losing it, Dave grunted. It's squirming. No. Wait. I've got it. I've got it around the torso. With the careful precision of a surgeon in a bomb defusal movie, Dave began to slowly draw his arm back. The hissing grew louder, more frantic. Easy. Almost. Inch by inch, he lowered the tongs. First, a tiny soot-covered paw broke the plane of the firebox, claws extended. Then, a furious little face, its golden eyes wide with terror, its mouth open in a silent, angry snarl. And then, it was out. Dave gently released the tongs, grabbing the kitten with his gloved hand. He stood up, holding the creature aloft in the living room light. It was, perhaps, the most pathetic and adorable warrior anyone had ever seen. It couldn't have been more than 6 weeks old, small enough to fit in Dave's palm. Its beautiful spotted fur was completely matted and streaked with thick black soot, making it look like a tiny, disgruntled chimney sweep from a Dickens novel. It was trembling, blinking against the light. It looked at the stunned humans surrounding it, took a shaky breath, and let out a tiny, raspy growl, which was immediately followed by a sneeze that sent a puff of soot into the air. Frank, Brenda, and Chloe all laughed. Even Sal was grinning. Well, Dave said, looking at the creature. The moment was almost touching. This man, his face smudged with black headlamp still on, holding this tiny, dusty spark of life. Say hello to the world, you little soot monster. Is it thanking you? Brenda asked, her heart melting. I think, Dave said as the kitten tried to bite his glove, that it's eloquently telling me where I can shove it. But we'll take it as thanks. He gently placed the kitten into the carrier Chloe had prepared, and the tiny creature immediately bolted to the farthest corner and tried to make itself invisible. One for the books, Frank said, shaking his head. A bobcat, in my fireplace, rescued with salad tongs. We'll, get these back to you, Brenda, Dave said, handing the sooty tongs to Sal to be bagged as equipment. Oh, keep 'em, Brenda said, fanning her face. I think I'll buy a new pair. Dave was just starting his what to do now speech about checking the chimney cap and how the mother was likely nearby, when Chloe, who was kneeling by the carrier, suddenly froze. "Dave?" she said, her voice quiet. "Yeah? I think I just heard it again." "Heard what?" Frank asked. "The hissing? It's in the box, son. We just—" "No," Chloe said, standing up. "Not the hissing. The other sound. The mewling." The room went dead silent. The hum of the fridge. The tick-tock of the clock. And then, clear as day, from the black square of the fireplace, a high-pitched, desperate mew. Everyone's blood ran cold. Dave stared at Sal. Sal stared at Dave. Frank looked at Brenda. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me," Dave said. He grabbed his headlamp, which he'd just taken off, and strapped it back on. He dropped to his knees, his expression no longer amused. "Brenda," he said, his voice flat, "I'm going to need those tongs back. And Sal, go get the other carrier from the truck." This, the rescuers realized, was the real situation. This was why the title of the incident report would later be filed under multi-feline chimney extraction, and why the story Dave would tell at the bar for the next 10 years just got a whole lot better. What they couldn't believe wasn't just the one bobcat. It was that the chimney had become a bobcat clown car. "I see it," Dave called from the hearth, his voice echoing. "It's smaller than the first one. Must be the runt. It's wedged in the flue liner." This rescue was harder. The second kitten was weaker, and it wasn't fighting. Dave had to gently nudge it with the tongs, coaxing it onto the damper ledge before he could get a gentle grip. Another 10 tense minutes passed. Brenda was chewing her thumbnail. Frank was pacing. Finally, Dave pulled the second one out. It was just as sooty, but terrifyingly quiet. It was smaller, its eyes barely open. "It's not moving," Chloe whispered as Dave placed it in her hands. "It's cold," Dave said, stripping off his gloves. "And in shock. Rub it. Briskly." Chloe took a towel and began to vigorously rub the tiny, limp creature. Come on, little guy. Wake up. You're safe." As she worked, Frank, who had been staring at the fireplace, suddenly said, "Wait a minute." Dave, exhausted, looked at him. "Don't say it, Frank." I think I saw another pair of eyes. Way in the back." Dave Sterling let his head fall back and stared at the ceiling. He let out a long, suffering sigh. "Sal," he yelled, "is there a third carrier in that truck?" "We only have 2, Sal yelled back. "Then get the damn laundry basket from my house." It took another 15 minutes. This third kitten was the feistiest of all, having watched its siblings get abducted by a giant metal pincer. It led Dave on a merry chase around the smoke shelf, but eventually, the salad tongs won again. When Dave stood up this time, he was holding the third kitten, which was hissing and spitting, a perfect miniature of its mother. He was covered in soot from his eyebrows to his waist, his uniform a mess. He placed the third kitten in the box with the first, and they immediately hissed at each other before huddling together. Chloe, meanwhile, had managed to get the second kitten to squeak. It was alive. The living room was a disaster zone. Soot was everywhere. 2 carriers were filled with hissing, terrified bobcats. Brenda was on the verge of tears. Frank looked like he'd just seen his 401k evaporate. Dave, the hero of the hour, looked at the salad tongs in his hand. He looked at Brenda. "I'm so sorry, ma'am," he said, "but I think I bent these." An hour later, the Miller living room was clean, and the 3 Bob kittens were in the back of the Wildlife Heroes truck. Chloe had used a bottle of water and gauze to gently wipe the soot from their faces, revealing 3 identical, beautiful, and utterly furious little creatures. "All healthy," Dave confirmed, checking their gums. "A little dehydrated maybe, but no injuries. Mom must have stashed them in there this morning while she was hunting, thinking it was a safe den. She probably got spooked and hasn't been able to get back." "Or," Sal added, "she tried to get them out, realized she'd made a terrible parenting decision and just left them." "No," Chloe said, shaking her head. "She's out there. I'd bet on it." As if on cue, Brenda, who was standing on her back patio, called out, "Dave, over there!" Dave and Chloe walked out. Brenda was pointing toward the dense scrub and cacti that marked the edge of their property, about 50 yards into the desert wash. At first, Dave saw nothing, just shimmering heat and the skeleton arms of a saguaro. And then he saw her. She was magnificent, a full-grown adult bobcat, lean and powerful, her coat a perfect camouflage of tan and brown. She wasn't pacing nervously. She was sitting perfectly still on top of a termite mound watching the house. Just watching. Waiting. "There she is," Dave said, his voice low. "Good eyes, Brenda." "Oh, the poor thing," Brenda whispered. She must have been terrified hearing them cry. "Well," Dave said, "let's fix this." They brought the carriers to the very edge of the manicured lawn. The mother bobcat watched, unblinking. She didn't move. "Okay," Dave said to Chloe. "Open the doors." Both at once, then back away, slowly. Chloe knelt, her heart pounding. She flipped the latches. The doors swung open. For a moment, nothing happened. The 3 kittens, now clean, huddled in the back of their boxes. The mother bobcat stood up. She let out a low, soft chuff. It wasn't a roar or a meow. It was a sound of command. One kitten poked its head out, then the second. The third, the feisty one, tumbled out right after. They stood on the grass, confused, blinking in the bright sun. The mother chuffed again, louder. The 3 kittens snapped to attention. In unison, as if pulled by an invisible string, they turned and darted across the gravel, their tiny legs a blur. They vanished into the creosote bushes. The mother bobcat waited, her tail twitching. She nudged the first kitten, then the second, then the third, as if counting them. Satisfied, she gave one last look at the house, a look of what Frank would later swear was pure, unadulterated annoyance. And then she, too, disappeared into the desert. The rescuers and the homeowners stood quietly for a long moment, watching the patch of scrub where the family had vanished. The only sound was the cooing of the doves, returning to the trees. What had begun as a strange, frightening household disturbance had turned into something else entirely. It was a story of quick thinking, of compassion, and of one very, very unusual kitchen rescue, ×3. Frank Miller broke the silence. "Well," he said, clearing his throat, "I suppose I'll call a guy about a chimney cap today." He turned to Dave, Chloe, and Sal, who were packing up their gear. "You 3, you want some coffee? I just made a fresh pot. It's the only civilized thing left."